Welcome, NFL fans. We're back again. Sorry for the long hiatus of late. My video schedule have been down. Been doing with COVID. Feeling much better though. And we are here. Football season is finally here. We are finally at the first game of the 2023 NFL season. Tonight, in a couple hours, we'll be seeing the Chiefs take on the Lions. And yes, Travis Kelce probably doesn't play, but don't throw him out yet because you know how Travis Kelce is. He doesn't get hurt. He always plays. He's the tank. But if you like this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and share. All that nonsense. I know I hate to say it, but YouTube likes it when you say this stuff, and it helps me. The traffic, a small click for you, but it means so much more for me. But let's start with the first game of the week: Detroit in Kansas City. And yes, even if Kelce doesn't play, the Kansas City Chiefs will prevail pretty handily. No, I don't want to say too handily. Maybe probably win by a touchdown, maybe 10 points. But I don't. If you're the Lions fan, this is your first jump onto the scene now. Everybody believes that you're gonna win the division. Everybody believes you're finally gonna make the playoffs again. Finally, maybe even make a decent run into the playoffs. But let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's see him get through the first week, and I don't think they'll get through the first week unscathed. At least with the win comes. I don't see them winning this game. I mean, there'd have to be some pretty fine shenanigans for the Chiefs to not win in their home stadium the opening week with their being honored after the Super Bowl. Yeah, I just don't see it happening. Regardless if Kelce plays or not, Patrick Mahomes and the rest of the team will be more than enough. And no, Chris Jones too. Their defense is still good enough, though. They should be able to get to uh, quarterback or Jared Goff pretty easily. And it should be a good game overall. Should be exciting, a high-scoring affair, I'm sure. But Kansas City prevails. And the next game we have, well, let's give a score. Kansas City, 35 to 24. Sounds about right. And next we have Carolina versus Atlanta. Now another game where we have no idea what we're getting. We have two teams from a very bad division playing each other, two division rivals that hate each other, and the first real game for Bryce Young, first game for Bryce Young and the first real game for Desmond Ridder. This is Desmond Ridder's one of his first real chances to show that he can do what he can do in the NFL. We saw what he could do last year. It wasn't much, and hopefully he has a little more than what he had last year. Otherwise, it's going to be a very long year for Atlanta indeed. Yes, they have their offensive pieces. I do like Atlanta to win this game begrudgingly, just because Bryce Young still has a lot to prove, and I think overall Atlanta has a better team, better defensively and offensively, and but it'll be interesting to see what happens. This game is never. This game is always a toss-up whenever these two teams play. You could always go either way. And if Carolina wins, I would not be shocked in the slightest. But I will give it to Atlanta. Bijan should have a decent game. Let's pump the brakes. Let's not say he's going to have over 150 yards and a couple touchdowns. Let's say maybe he reaches 100, has a touchdown. Drake London has a score or two. Maybe Kyle Pitts even gets a score. But Atlanta probably wins 27 to 24. It should come down to the very end, but it should be a good game to watch. Houston and Baltimore. Houston has its issues. That sure they're probably going to improve this year, but improve how much from last year? They did not have a great season, and brand new quarterback C.J. Stroud, Dameon Pierce. If they want to win, they're going to want to get established around early, get Dameon Pierce the rock, and hopefully that offensive line holds up. Honestly, they don't have a lot of receiving options. They have John Mechie and Dalton Schultz, and that's about it. And we'll see what happens. And Baltimore, despite all the injuries they've already suffered, their defense should be more than enough to get to C.J. Stroud. And my God, hope that Houston can protect him because he's their future and they need to protect him well. Now, I don't think Houston really has a chance to win. Maybe they establish a run, they could keep it close for a while. But I like Baltimore to pull away. Lamar should have a good game. Hopefully, J.K. Dobbins can burst onto the scene healthy and ready to have that big season follow up that he had in his rookie year. Baltimore, I think, wins 28 to uh, 14. Yeah, sounds about right. Well, I can buy two scores, and I think that's probably how it's going to be. It's in Baltimore, and the crowd should be rocking. Cincy versus Cleveland. Cincinnati should come out strong. Joe Burrow should be ready to go. This is always a toss-up game, another rivalry game, but Cincinnati should win pretty handily. Cleveland, I don't think is very good. They have some pieces here and there, but I just don't think they'll ever get Deshaun Watson that they had in Houston. I don't think you will ever see that again, and I don't think they have a very good coach. It, plus, they have the worst owner in sports. This franchise is cursed. Probably should be a good game. Probably a close one. I'd say, or Cincinnati wins 31 to 24. So probably by a touchdown. Maybe a little closer than that, but Cincinnati should prevail and start the season on a good note. And all those doubts about Joe Burrow being injured should be gone, just like that. And next we have Jacksonville versus Indianapolis. I like Jacksonville to win this game for sure. Indy just doesn't have a lot to speak of. I mean, Jonathan Taylor is out. There's no Zach Moss. And Anthony Richardson is just a toss up. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. He's shown it ever since he was in college. He's just not a great quarterback. He doesn't have good accuracy. He has great athletic tools, but he just doesn't have the accuracy which you need to be a good quarterback in the NFL for. Trevor Lawrence should have a good game. Should be able to run the ball pretty well. That and they should be able to get to Anthony Richardson. The Colts offensive line has degraded a lot over the years, and it's kind of sad how one of the best offensive lines they had a couple years ago is now a shell of its former self. But I don't like Indy in this game. Jacksonville probably wins 28 to 10, something like that. And even though it's in Indianapolis, I don't think Indy pulls off a miracle win and gets everybody all excited. Oh, Anthony Richardson won the first game against a suspected division winner. No, I don't see that happening, not at all. Next, we have Tampa Bay versus Minnesota. Minnesota should have more than enough. Great offense. Justin Jefferson should do what he always does, and we'll get to see what the two-headed monster of Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson is like. Kirk Cousins should have a great game. Their defense should have more than enough. They have lost a lot of pieces over the last year, but it should be more than enough for them to win. Tampa Bay, Baker, probably his last chance to really give it a go as starting quarterback this year. He won the job from Kyle Trask, and it's his job to show it. Now, they do have Godwin, Mike Evans still, Rashad White running back. Decent or decent half of an offensive line, but overall that offensive line has not fared well the past couple of years. So going to need to be able to protect against that front seven if they're going to have any chance. They're going to need to be able to establish the run. If they can't establish the run, it's going to be a long day for Tampa Bay. I like Minnesota to win 35 to 21, and even 21 for Tampa Bay may be kind. But I don't want to say they're going to be completely boat raced. Next, we have Tennessee versus New Orleans. New Orleans should win. It'll be up to them to stop Derrick Henry. If they can stop Derrick Henry, they should have a great day. Derek Carr should or has lots of weapons to throw to. Olave, maybe Michael Thomas will be something that we think he can be again. Who knows? I have my doubts about Michael Thomas being what he used to be. And their defense is still good. Still, they do have a tendency to get injured a lot, so that's a big thing. But as long as Cameron Jordan is on that defensive line, they should be able to rush the quarterback just fine. Tennessee's defensive line should be back to what it was or a year and a half ago, and yeah, We'll see what DeAndre Hopkins has left, but it should be a fun game, a close game. New Orleans wins 35-31. Yeah, I think that's a fair enough score. Next, we have San Francisco versus Pittsburgh. Should be a battle of defenses. Whoever scores first should probably win the game. We'll see what Brock Purdy can do. They should be fine. They should be able to run the ball pretty well. Despite the good defense that Pittsburgh has, Christian McCaffrey should have a pretty good day. Debo should be able to get out there. Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. Who knows what we're gonna get with him? I think he's a big grab bag for what you're gonna get this year. And with the new highest paid defensive end in NFL history, Nick Bosa, he should be able to rush that offensive line. Even though the offensive line is improved, should be able to get to Kenny Pickett with ease. They're going to want to protect him. Maybe George Pickens has a touchdowns here and there. Deontay Johnson should have a decent game. It should be a good game all the way around. It'll just be a battle of who can get to the quarterback, and I think San Francisco will have far better ease of getting at the quarterback than Pittsburgh. But it should be a good game. Probably one of the more exciting games to watch this week. And in the end, I think I have San Francisco winning 28-17. Sounds about right. Arizona and Washington, a total toss-up in my opinion. Arizona's trash. They're totally tanking, so it's really up to if Washington just doesn't make mistakes. If Washington doesn't make mistakes, they should win just fine. That front seven should be more than enough to rush that terrible offensive line and get to Joshua Dobbs. My God, Joshua Dobbs is their offensive, is their quarterback. Boy, it is going to be a rough year for Arizona. But Sam Howell will get to show what he can really do. He has Jahan Dotson to throw to, Scary Terry, of course, and two decent running backs, Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, to hand the ball off to, a decent offensive line, and the rest of the year might be rough for Washington, but this should be a good week for them to start their season off of against the worst team in the NFL. You couldn't ask for a better opportunity to really get off strong, and if Washington fails at that and allows Arizona to win, boy, dark things in their future. No, I don't want to go that far. It just wouldn't look good for them to lose to Arizona week one, but should be a decent game, but Washington should pull through pretty quickly. Probably Washington 27 to 13. I'll give Arizona at least a couple chances to score, but not too much. Green Bay and Chicago. Now, Green Bay is going to beat the Chicago Bears. They just are. They're a better team. Sorry, Chicago Bears fans, you're way too hyped for your team. That has improved a little bit, but not too much. You got some defensive pieces, and well, let's talk about that in my separate episode of Green Bay, where I'll break that down more. But needless to say, Green Bay should win. Let's go with Las Vegas and Denver. The Raiders, and boy, they're having troubles with the whole Chandler Jones issues. Reportedly, the Raiders sent a crisis response team over to help him. That's not a good sign, but Denver should be able to get the win just fine. They should be able to run. They should be able to throw. The Raiders are just a big old mess, and although they do have Devontae Adams now and Max Crosby on defense, I don't think Devontae Adams will be there for the full year. I think he finds his way onto a certain other team in the AFC East. Maybe not, but I don't see him being with the Raiders all year long. He should find his way to another team because the Raiders are just a big old mess. But anyway, Denver, I begrudgingly think Denver will win, even though they have not beaten the Raiders in like 3 years, just because of all the issues the Raiders are having. But don't be surprised if the Raiders still win, and remind me of why I never picked the Broncos to beat the Raiders, because they never do. But Denver wins 28 to 24. Should be a close game. Should be a good game. And next we have Miami versus the LA Chargers. Boys, this is a real toss-up. LA won last year. Should be a big shootout to throw into Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle should play, and Tyreek Hill, and then of course Justin Herbert has his full repertoire of wide receivers back: Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Austin Eckler, of course. Trusty old Austin Eckler. Should be a really high-scoring game with very little defense, and whoever gets an interception here and there should win out. But I like LA to win. Started off the season on a good note, 35-32, something like that. And next we have the Los Angeles Rams versus Seattle. Seattle should win handily. The Rams don't have much, not with Cooper Kupp out, and with Stafford's inability to connect with his wide receivers. It's going to be a really hard bus for them to go, but they should win. They should win big, and it should not be that close. Seattle should be able to run the ball all day long. Should be able to get DK and Tyler Lockett wide open, and it should be a high scoring game, like I said, for Seattle anyway. It's probably about 35-10. It's probably a bit unfair to LA, but I think that's just how it's going to go. Philly versus New England. A should be a good game overall. Battle of defenses, and whoever doesn't throw that interception should win. Now, Philly should be able to get through to Mac Jones, and it'll be really interesting to see that Philly offensive line against that great defensive front, that great secondary. It's just going to be a really good game. Maybe not the highest scoring game, just simply because of the defenses that both these teams have. Let's see. I think Philly wins 24-17. Should be close. Should be within a touchdown or two, but I think Philly ultimately has the better team overall, and I think Mac Jones loses the game for the Patriots. So it's hard to win when your quarterback always seems to turn the ball over at the worst moments, but should be a really good game to watch. Probably one of the more exciting ones to watch this week. Dallas and the Giants should be a good defensive battle like always, or it should be a good divisional battle like always. Not always the most defensive ability there, but Dallas has a great defense. Giants have a pretty good defense. I wouldn't say a great defense, but they have good moving pieces. Danny Dimes finally got his contract, and we'll see what he can do. Has some new wide receivers to play with. Darren Waller there should help. As long as he stays healthy, I like their outcome this year. Should be a great game. Dallas, Tony Pollard looks ready to go. Offensive line is back to the way it should be for the most part. Zach Martin is there at center. Good old trusty Zach Martin. It would have been a rough season had he not come back, but of course they were going to pay him. They were always going to pay him. It's always going to come down to Dak and Danny Dimes. Who throws the interception to lose the game? And I think that will ultimately decide, but should be a good game. Should be a close game, 24-17. Seems like a typical NFC East score on Sunday Night Football. Or could be something different, but it's going to be close, but I think Dallas pulls through. But don't be surprised if the Giants pull the upset and win. Next, we have Buffalo versus the Jets. Well, last but not least, we have the Buffalo and the Jets. Now, no Von Miller, of course, but they should be able to rush that crappy offensive line the Jets got. Yes, they have some pieces, but I mean, the whole talk about the offense season is that their offensive line has not been great, and that was against defenses that weren't showing anything. They weren't going to show their normal stuff, and now they're going to be able to come in red hot. Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be running for his life a lot in this game. It's probably going to be close. Um, Buffalo should be able to score pretty easily, to be honest. Should be somewhat defensive fought battle, but in the end, I think Buffalo wins 28-21. Should be close, but I think a turnover will decide who wins and who loses. But there, if you like the video, make sure to give it a like and a thumbs up. We'll be coming up with another video either tonight or tomorrow previewing the Packers versus the Chicago Bears. And like I said earlier in the video, I think the Packers win, but I'll let you know further how much of a beatdown it is and what the final score is. But have a great day, and as always, God bless.